Hi, this is Lynn Shuck with Healing and Balance. We're going to be looking at some sideline leg lifts, and a lot of times when people do this, they get their torso very involved, either by tipping their torso forward or backward, or by collapsing the side body into the floor and moving through the spine, like this. So it'll be more obvious if I do this up on my shoulders. So people lift the leg and drop the ribs into the floor. Now, you can be lying all the way down and still do that. So the first thing we want to do is, if you have a wall, you can set yourself up so that your head, your butt, and your shoulders and your feet are on the wall. And that will help keep you from rolling forward or backward. The next thing is to take your free hand and push your pelvis that way, towards your foot. Because often if the side body's crashing to the floor, either the legs come apart like mine are, or your feet aren't lined up, they're not on the same plane. So if we push this side of the pelvis that way, it's gonna lighten your load on the floor in your torso. We're gonna keep the pelvis pushing that way. I'm gonna use my hand and push toward my foot. And then as I lift my leg without any rotation, it's only gonna go so high. Versus if I let my hip go, whee, I can swing that leg up there, but I'm actually not moving at the hip any further, moving in the spine. So we want this to be at the hip. Push your hip away from you and lift and lower that leg. Now, it's not a lot of movement, and I'm trying very hard to work with no rotation. But what if I do add rotation? What if I externally rotate my leg? If I'm not at a wall, my butt cheek's gonna wanna go back. My pelvis is gonna try and tip back behind me. So the wall prevents that. But again, because I don't have a lot of rotation, I either have to take my leg off the wall to go higher, or if I keep it on the wall, it's only gonna go minimal amount of movement without moving my pelvis. I can also internally rotate my leg, turning my thigh, my knee, my toes toward the floor. Now my butt wants to come off the wall, I have to pull it back to the wall. And again, I'm gonna lift and lower, and it's not very high because I'm not letting my spine be part of the movement. So I want you to try and do this. As you set up, again, if you don't have a wall, you're just gonna have to pay a lot more attention to your pelvis not moving around in space. If you have the wall, line up with the wall. You could be up high on your elbow. It's a little harder to move, I think, to control things. It's harder to get your torso back. You could come onto your hand. You could put a block under your head. I'm using my arm under my head. Other hand pushes my pelvis that way, and I lift and lower without rotation. I lift and lower with external rotation. You can see this side has more movement, ease of movement. And then internal rotation, I have less, much less. How many do you do? Well, try it first and notice how hard it is. And then work up to 10 of each rotation. Maybe you start with 3 of each rotation and build up over time. But 10 of each would be pretty strong outer hip and thigh muscles and pretty strong, stable core. Get that pelvis anchored, get your body in line, try not to let the torso tip. Give it a shot, see what happens. We gotta use some of these muscles to get them stronger. We can't just keep massaging them and stretching them. We gotta use them. All right, that's what I've got for you today. Go.